Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Jessica Ward King, this StigmaCrusher here. By the time you see this video, I will have another of my mental health tattoos. And I wanted to talk a little bit today about why people might want to tattoo mental health related themes on themselves. What kinds of tattoos I've seen both from myself and from other people, and what to consider when thinking about a tattoo that relates to your mental health. So first of all, you will not see my new tattoo in this video. It will be happening right here on my arm, and it will be a brain, kind of like the brain you see in my StigmaCrusher logo, so with white and black on one side and rainbow on the other side. And for me, the white and black side is also going to have things like the serotonin and dopamine molecules, as well as medications. And that side really represents the science behind my mental health and mental illness. Whereas the rainbow colored side really represents the artistry that comes. When I say that psychiatry is really more an art than a science sometimes, that's what I mean. And so the creativity and the emotion and the feeling that comes with my mental illness. And so I kind of want to juxtapose these two sides to it. It also represents for me the two sides of my bipolar disorder. So the one side, the kind of black and white side, being that black and white thinking that I get into when I am depressed specifically, and then the more fluid and colorful thinking and emotion that I get into when I'm hypomanic or manic, kind of like I am right now. And so this tattoo is going to represent a variety of things about my mental health, and specifically about my mental illness. I have other mental health related tattoos. So up here on my shoulder, I have one on a lovely bra strap. You can see it has a semicolon. Now, some of you may have heard of the semicolon tattoo. The semicolon is a piece of punctuation that indicates that the sentence is not finished. There is more to come. And the semicolon was begun to represent a suicide, basically. So those who either thought about or attempted to die by suicide and survived that either attempt or intention, because there was more to their life. There was more that they wanted to do and they wanted to say. And so the semicolon came to represent suicide, and the semicolon tattoo specifically for survivors of suicide, as well as their loved ones, and for those who have lost loved ones by suicide. And so that's what the semicolon represents. I actually spoke quite a few years ago now at a semicolon event in Edmonton, where they actually had tattoo artists that were available with Flash. So you could pick specific designs. You couldn't go in there with your own design and say like, I want you to tattoo this on me. But like you could pick specific designs, many of which incorporated the semicolon, and have those tattooed on you. And so it was kind of like a massive campaign, basically, to raise awareness about suicide, and a very well attended event, of course. But my tattoo contains more than that. So it also contains a saying from my favorite philosopher, who happens to be a very nihilistic philosopher, Nietzsche. So he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. And for me, that's something that represents my reasons for continuing to live, despite suicidal ideation, that I have a why to live, which for me represents my family, my son and my wife, and that I can bear almost any depressive episode, any pain that I have to go through, as long as I've got them. And then there's a dragonfly, which is kind of the symbol that my family has chosen for our family. And so it's very much there are many elements to it. And so that's kind of what I mean when I say that I'm going to talk about the things to consider if you are considering a mental health related tattoo. For me, it's something that's very personal, but it's also on display for everyone else. And people do ask, right? They'll ask you, what does your tattoo represent? Of course, you are free to tell them as much or as little as you wish. Me being StigmaCrusher and being open book about pretty much everything in my life, will happily tell my life story to passersby who ask about my tattoos. But remember that if it's something that's going to be triggering for you, you might want to choose a place on your body that's not really readily visible to everyone. I have seen people choose to use tattooing to cover or conceal or sometimes highlight, depending on their approach to it, the scars of self-harm. And so remember, if that's something you're choosing to do to work with your artist, to either highlight, if that's something you want to do, or to camouflage those scars, if that's something you wish to do as well. For me, it's always something I always want there to be shades of meaning. So not necessarily just like a brain because I like brains, but like different shades of meaning, if you know what I mean. I've seen a lot of folks that have like serotonin molecules tattooed with, you know, sometimes very simply, sometimes with a variety of like flowers, rainbows, butterflies, those kinds of things with it. And those can be very meaningful to folks. I've seen people, I actually have another mental health related tattoo on my body, which you cannot see because it is down on my leg. But it is basically the theater faces. So the happy face and the sad face. That you often see as masks. So they were meant to be the Greek masks of drama and comedy. And that represents my bipolar disorder, obviously. So I have that as well. And so people will have these, if you're wondering, why would you have a mental health tattooed on your body? It's because the journey with mental illness is very often not a short one. It's very, very often chronic. Folks, some people will have a run-in with mental illness. It will either sort itself out, which sometimes happens. They will get it treated, so they'll go to their doctor, get maybe medicine, or have talk therapy. Maybe the situation that elicited that situation resolves. Or sometimes they're able to overcome it due to the talk therapy or due to the medication, and it resolves and they get better, and that's it. They don't struggle with it throughout their lives. It doesn't recur. They just get better, and that's great. That's fantastic. That's the goal. That is what we would love to see for everyone. That only happens for about 30% of people, and even among those 30%, there will be a recurrence, usually within 10 years. So for a lot of people, it is the demon that they will struggle with on and off, or maybe more on than off, throughout their lives. I know that's the case for me with bipolar. It is a relapsing, remitting chronic disease, which means that it will never go away. Sometimes will be better than other times, but it will be the black dog of which they speak that you wrestle with throughout life. And so it's really part of the journey, and it's a really meaningful part of the journey, right? Because it elicits so much emotion and so much struggle and so much meaning. It elicits meaning in the way that maybe struggling with a cold, right? Or even like I also struggle with migraines and with fibromyalgia, so chronic pain disorder. And those things are significant in my life. They've caused significant pain, significant disability, significant problems for me. I take medications for them, but they're not meaningful for me in the way that my mental illness is. And that's probably because mental illness really is, because it's so intricately related with, the mind, right? It's not just the brain. It's not just the chemicals. It's also the emotions, it's the way we think, it's the things we think. If it can cause suicidal thinking, if it can cause black or white thinking, it can cause these different cognitive distortions. it really, it's intricately related. It's like knotted up and balled up and tied up together with the way that I process the meaning of my life, the meaning of my experiences. And so it's meaningful to me in a way that my other experiences, my other illnesses, my other things are not. And so I think for me, that's why having these tattoos that signify my struggle with mental health is so important to me. And I wanted to kind of end this video explaining one of my first mental health tattoos. So it's this one here. So the chain that is tattooed around my wrist is actually made up of links that are Morse code for the word remarkable. And that was a breakthrough I had the first time I was doing cognitive behavioral therapy. I was at it for like 3 years that time, and struggling with the need to be perfect. And I came to the conclusion, I think I've mentioned this on this channel before, that I didn't need to be perfect. I could be remarkable, but still be fallible. And so to remind myself, that's what I have tattooed around my wrist. And then the cross here, the anchor, reminds me of the anchor that my depression is, weighing me down. And yet at the same time, I'm a Christian. I don't talk about this often, but I'm a Christian. And the anchor was an old symbol for the cross of Christ. And it was illicit. It was not legal to be talking about Christian things at a certain point in history. And so because there was lots of fishermen involved in the whole story, and the anchor, because it looks like a cross, it became a symbol of Christianity. And so for me, that spirituality is tied up in my experience of depression and suicidality. And of course the rainbow, which represents both my identity as an LGBTQ person, as well as the kind of colorfulness that can come from the manic part of my experience. So you see my tattoos they've got layers and layers of meaning that may seem rambling to the random observer, but to me they're extremely meaningful on so many levels. And I think that's why a lot of people do get tattoos that are related to their mental health and their mental illness. So do let me know in the comments down below. Have you got any? Do you have any mental health related tattoos? Are you planning to get one? If so, if you feel comfortable, describe it in the comments down below. I would love to hear about your experience as well. And look forward to next week, because hopefully I will be able to show you my brand new tattoo in a video that does not relate to the tattoo, but I will show it to you anyway. And just your quick update, in case you hadn't noticed, in case you didn't catch it earlier, I'm up again. Whee! So here, the roller coaster continues on this channel. I had spent, I guess, 3 weeks in depression, and now we're back up to hypomania this time. Kind of enjoying it for the moment and hoping it does not crash again. So wait for the update for next week. You'll see the tattoo, you'll hear how I'm doing, and we will talk about a brand new topic. Take care of yourselves this week, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
StigmaCrusher.